sports equipment. So I went back to school. To me, business isn't about rich people. Business is about achieving our own work, being in control of our own lives. But also, if you're thinking, well, maybe business isn't for me, and who am I? Who was I? I was from a small place in England that no one's heard of, who was from a poor family. Why should I create a business? But I built a business actually based on bars, or pubs as we'd say in England. And I was lucky to make some money, and with that money I invest now. Don't think you can't do it, because you can. That's the first thing. So that's our background. So we are investors, but we have created a series of methodologies and programs to create more entrepreneurs, more social entrepreneurs, more young leaders, and more people who can start their own business. So we have two halves to the business. So I want you to know that because we are from a very business background, but we can also do social activities. So social enterprise. Well, I want to start with what we think it is. This is a UK definition, if you like. In the UK, some of the biggest companies are social enterprises. Some of the oldest companies are social enterprises. Now I hope maybe next year all of you will come to the UK. I hope we're still friends despite Brexit, so please keep coming. And if you come to the UK, almost in any town or city you will see a shop, a supermarket, called The Cooperative. It's the biggest retailer in the whole of the UK, and it's a social enterprise. The cooperative has a bank, the cooperative has agriculture, the cooperative has insurance and holidays. It's a huge multi-billion pound business, but it's a social enterprise. Also, if you go to a department store called John Lewis in London or Birmingham or Manchester or Newcastle, you will see a very fashionable store. It's a social enterprise. One of the oldest manufacturing businesses in the UK makes chocolate. You may know Cadbury chocolate. It's a social enterprise. It started as a social enterprise 250 years ago. I'm telling you this because I want the first thing for you to really get hold of is social enterprises can be almost any business. We have pubs that are social enterprises. We have factories that are social enterprises. We have cafes. So actually, social enterprises are businesses. Now, you may say, okay, so what makes it a social business and not a normal business? Well, a social business has certain characteristics which makes it different. And I can quote to you from the head of the cooperative shops. And what he says is called Ed Mayo. And Ed says that a social enterprise trades ethically, buys ethically, and sells ethically. So it means it pays its workers a fair price. It means its goods are priced fairly. It means it treats people with respect and value. It's not just about profit, in other words. That's what we see a social enterprise to be, a business with values. And the big trend in the UK is towards more and more of these businesses. I don't know about you, but for me, one of the most frustrating things is seeing a big company like Google or Amazon take away all the taxes from the country where they should be paying it. Pay the workers not very much money, but they make all the money in the shareholders in America. I don't think that's right. But social enterprise is the alternative way of doing business. So it's about being decent, it's about being fair, but please remember, it's about having a business. The worst social enterprises are those that make it only social because they can't make any money, and that means they fail. So a social enterprise must be sustainable. I don't just mean sustainable environmentally, but that's important. I mean sustainable in social and economic terms as well. Which means areas like Leeuwarden should be able to retain all its talent, you guys in other words. You should be able to create your own businesses here, make successful businesses here. You should be able to employ local people, to use local suppliers. You should be able to make these things local, to regenerate these areas, and to hold your talent here. That's social enterprise. Not letting all the money go off to America with the shareholders there. But it's business, I must emphasize that. So social enterprises have those values and they're a business. So I hope so far you have heard then what we do as a business, some examples of a social enterprise, and what makes a social enterprise. We don't have in the UK any big law or anything about what we say a social enterprise is. We can interpret it a little. Now, I want to talk a little bit more now about what makes a successful social enterprise. And then John and Xavier will talk about their own experiences. Because John and Xavier, don't stand up guys, so they know who you are, or wave. So John and Xavier work for me in London, but can I talk about your contract? Would you be happy if I did? Yeah? They have an unusual contract. So they're my employees for 4 days a week, but for the 5th day, they grow their own business. So it's compulsory that they grow their own business. I coach them, I hope I coach them, because I want them, maybe in 4 years, to leave. Create their own business, fly away and be successful. And then I'll bring in some money. I've been doing this now for 7 or 8 years. Grow talent. So they will tell you about their own experiences of business. So please, let's just recap. Anyone can develop a social enterprise. It's a business. It's about values and decency and equality. And it's about local businesses. But really, almost any business can become a social enterprise. Almost any. So if you walk into some pubs in the UK, actually they're social businesses. You won't know it. They don't have it above the door, but they are. They reinvest their profit into the business and not to the shareholders. So what might make a good business, a good social enterprise? You need a really important starting point, which is you need a great idea. Some of you may want to change the world. Some of you may have a passion to make the world more sustainable, to make sure the water resources are maintained for the whole world, to make sure there's no poverty and no famine, and that's great. But first you have to have a business idea. So you have a business idea first and foremost, number one. The second piece of advice I would give you is to listen. The best business people are the ones who listen the best. You listen to your customers, you listen to your competition, you listen when people are not nice about your idea, because they will be. They will be unpleasant about the idea, they will criticize you. You listen. And it's one of the biggest things people get wrong. Too many business people talk and they don't listen. I do realize I'm talking all the time at the moment, but we will listen later. So you have a great business idea and you listen. Also, you need someone to talk to. I have a mentor. You can see I am not so young, alas. So I am getting on. I have a mentor. I meet with my mentor 4 times a year. We have a beer in London, and I can just tell him what my ideas are. He's just interested in my business. He's been my mentor for 8 years. We all need someone to talk to. So, a great business idea, a mentor, and listen. All really important. You have to be determined and resilient. But the prize for you is having freedom, because having your own business is way greater freedom. For me, the biggest reason is I have choice. I can choose. I can choose where I locate. I can choose what I do each day. I have, to be honest, I have chosen to be here, though Sylvia basically made me, but it's a choice. And also, you don't have to wait for someone to give you a job. It puts you in control. And when I'm talking to people in the UK, I'm saying, why do you wait for someone else to give you a job? Create your own. Why wait? Why be dependent on someone else? It's something that none of us really should want. Be in charge. Be in control. And that's the great thing of having a business. You don't have to be some huge multinational. That's not what I'm suggesting. Supply to local people, using local supplies, be rooted in your community, whether it be in Leeuwarden or somewhere else, and you are a business person already. So that's what social enterprise is. Local, sustainable, values, decent, but a business. I know I've said that many times already, but it's so important. When people come to me and ask me to invest, so I've invested in 43 companies. Some of them are in Italy, some of them in Spain, 2 are in Greece, 1's in Lithuania, and so on. I don't actually look at the business idea first. I look at the person. It's you I would look at. Why? Truthfully, most of the business ideas I see are not very good. But the people are. The people are great. Why would you? I'm guessing you're all around 19, 20, 21. Why would you come with the most brilliant idea ever in the world, first up, and then make me give you, I know, 20,000 euros? Why would that happen? But I can see you have potential. So we work with you. Most wise investors do the same. And that's why we're not a bank. So again, you don't have to be something, I just don't have an idea, I can't do this. You'll get the idea if you look and you listen and you want to have choice. Come back to that. Because most of us invest in you. And on that, I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this, but my other bit of advice is don't write a business plan. Really. You write business plans for banks. People write business plans to a bank for money they cannot afford, for reasons they don't really understand. Or for your teachers, sorry. And if your teacher asks for a business plan, write it. I'm so sorry, I forgot that bit. If your teacher won't write it, of course. But if you actually want a real business, then don't. Because you make it all up. How do you know what you're going to be selling in 5 years' time to whom? You have no idea. So actually, something else all 43 companies that I invest in have in common is there's no business plan for them. We use a different model. And maybe it's something for you to think about. We use something called the 3Q model. 3 questions. So again, if you come to me for investment, there are 3 questions I ask you. What are you selling? To whom? For how much? If you can answer that, you're in with a chance. If you can't, you're probably not. You don't need 100-page business plans, apart from for your studies. So, it's thinking of business as a practical thing, not a theoretical thing. And that's the same for social enterprise. So really, social enterprise can be any business, within reason, but it's about the values that you have in them. And in the UK, we now have easily over 100,000 people working in social enterprises, probably more. We have tens of thousands of social enterprises. Some of them, all they do is trade, trade, trade. And you might say again, what about doing good? You might want to do good. Well, for example, one of the businesses that I invest in, it just trades. It's a straight business. There's nothing social about it until you know how they spend their profit. And they spend their profit on working with the poorest communities in Birmingham for free. So they go in and help, they provide youth clubs, for example, for free. So they are a social enterprise. Because their profits are not going to the owners, the profits are going to the disadvantaged in the city. So there's different models of how you do this. So I hope that has given you some ideas about social enterprise. But as I said at the beginning, if there's any more clarification that you need, we are going to stay for questions. And I hope, despite what I appreciate that I'm speaking in English and you're all thinking in Dutch, but I hope that's made sense. But I'm really happy to clarify this. And also, as a trailer for you, we are returning here in March next year. So again, we're going to follow up things until I speak to many people from here in Skype. But now I'd like to pass on to John and Xavier, who are young social entrepreneurs, who know a lot about social entrepreneurism in the UK, and they will speak to you for some minutes about their own experiences and indeed in their own experience of actually running social enterprise. And then we will have finished, and then what I don't want, please, we don't want to be standing here for 20 minutes in silence. So please ask us questions before we go. Thank you.